Back in 2022, there was a Silent Hill transmission, which is basically a Silent Hill Direct. They have announced a few that caught a lot of interest. Other than Silent Hill 2 Remake, which Bloober Team did an excellent job with, then Silent Hill Townfall. Another in particular that I found the most interesting take is Silent Hill F, which the setting takes place in Japan in the 1960s. A lot have been skeptical about it, however, I, like others, are looking forward to it. And honestly, I wasn't disappointed. When you start a new playthrough, you get to choose difficulty on combat and puzzles. Chose either story, hard, or lost in the fog. Kind of odd on the titles of the difficulties. It claims that the traditional Silent Hill experience is combat on story and puzzles on hard. So I went like that. And it honestly feels like that I'm playing on normal on both. The combat is all melee center focus, where you need to conserve weapon durability, and toolkits that repairs whatever weapon you have in your hand. And of course, conserve healing items in any other survival horror game. There are technically 3 different types of weapons: light, such as kitchen knives and sickles; small, not durable, but very deadly; medium, like metal pipes and others, are standards that you'll be using for the majority of your playthroughs; and heavy, like sledgehammers and axes, slow but are highly durable and can stun enemies quicker. Most of them do feel different, and even function differently. Also, there's a visual detail on the weapons, depending on their durability, like when they're about to break. Now for the combat itself, overall it's fine, though it could have been better executed. There are moments where I would get cheaply hit, which is a bit annoying. Yes, at times it can get repetitive. Of course, at a few occasions, especially at the near end, it gets forced. However, it serves a narrative purpose. On the topic of the combat, there's been an upward of calling it a Souls-like. Is it a Souls-like though? Simply no. And I'm glad that the developers didn't went for it. There's shrines that I know some people would label them as bonfires. However, they're like save points from any other Silent Hill game, even the original 4. Though, unlike any other, you can do more than saving your progress. You can give offerings to obtain faith, obtain Omomarbis, which are equipped charms that gives you simple effects like increased health. Some gives bonus effect on certain conditions. Restore your sanity if you set combat on hard or higher. And upgrade your health, stamina, and sanity that requires Uma that you have to find. There's dodging, light and heavy attacks, a charge attack, and a counter attack. And that's pretty much it. As someone who has played plenty of Souls-like games, Silent Hill F is not even close. For the combat's conclusion, it's literally not as bad as some people are labeling it. The puzzles are, for the most part, pretty good. They give just enough hints for you to put the pieces together for the solutions. Some are pretty clever. That's until I get to the Scarecrow puzzle, which the first 2 sections make sense, but after that, the last 3 section feels like a guessing game. It's most likely that I'm missing something, but other than that, it still respects the player's intelligence. The only couple that I did struggle with is the poetry. Inventory is limited through healing items / offerings. You can only hold 3 melee weapons in total, with an exception that I won't spoil, though key items are not limited, so not too much to worry. You can increase the limited inventory by finding school bags, for example. You know, a limited inventory in a Silent Hill game sounds very familiar. The soundtracks are both incredible and chilling. The level designs are all well done. Speaking of level designs, throughout the game, you'll be jumping between the Fog Town and the Dark Shrine, basically the other world, which is fairly balanced on the pacing for the most part. I know a handful of people complain about the Dark Shrine not being a, quote, traditional otherworld, end quote, even though it's been known since the first game, back in 1999, that everyone is affected differently, especially when it comes to POVs, while Silent Hill 2 goes a lot more into that concept. I'll say this to get out of the way for now. Silent Hill is always about fighting inner demons, whether it be your own or someone else's. The story is great. Now, I won't go into spoilers for a couple of reasons. One, it's best to go through it blindly, and two, there's a lot to talk about. Even though I wasn't familiar with the writer, nor with his other works, but I do say Ryukishi07 didn't hold back any punches when it comes to the themes and topics during the times of 60s Japan. He definitely cooked with this game. Maybe at some point I'll be looking into some of his other works. Now, there's a mixed bag of people who either liked it or don't. There's a comment saying that, quote, this isn't Silent Hill, end quote. Every time they say it, they don't elaborate, nor do they want to, as of why. Even when they actually attempt to, they always fumble, even at some point contradict themselves. Out of all the things that they talk about, not once do they even mention the atmosphere, like the original 4, especially 2 Remake, which Silent Hill F nails on. Not to mention the symbolism of the monsters, story being confusing at first until you get to the end to understand it. Alright, I'll stop. I won't give you all an earful about the community. That will be for another time. Now, I'll briefly talk about the endings. There are 5 in total. On first playthrough, normal playthrough to be specific, you're locked with 1 ending. You can only access the other endings on New Game Plus. As a heads up, you can only get 1 ending at a time, so you do need 4 more playthroughs. Thankfully, at the main menu, after the first playthrough, it tells you the requirements to get the endings. Speaking of New Game Plus, there are noticeable differences. There's new cutscenes and dialogues, which gives more context of the plot. Also, some new locations / rooms that weren't accessible before can now be accessed. Not only it gives us more to do, it provides more info such as the character's fates. Some things can be carried over to New Game Plus, such as upgraded health, stamina, and sanity, upgraded inventory, and a certain key item that I won't say what it is due to spoilers. The bosses are pretty solid overall. Honestly, I don't have anything to complain nor write home about. Sure, maybe one of them is a tad bit spongy. Now, 4 of the 5 endings has his own final boss, which is cool. It does make replayability more worth doing. Each of all the bosses do serve a purpose for the narrative as well. I do have small complaints to mention, like autosaving. It's really not necessary for a survival horror game, though I can understand to a degree at certain points at the game. It does respect the players' time, but still though. Objective notifications, or whatever you call them at this point. It's not needed because we would already know of what we need to do next. Also, like traditional Silent Hill, there will be markings all on the map as you progress. Sometimes inventory management can get annoying due to path tracking, especially one that can be quite a bit of a travel. There has been some complaint about hit stops during combat, which is a visual telling of an enemy or boss being stunned. Compared to the clips that I've seen to what I experienced, those are a little bit extreme. I was sitting there scratching my head like, it's not even close to the levels that I've experienced. Now, it could relate to the performance issues that a lot of people were having. As far as my research goes, It only happens on both PC and PS5 Pro. Now, I play on the regular PS5, and I didn't experience any frame drops or stuttering as far as I can tell out of all my playthroughs. Maybe I'm just lucky. To those that have experienced this issue, do have a valid complaint, and hopefully at some point it will be addressed. Is the game scary? Personally, not really. No, it has its moments. It's definitely disturbing and pretty dark. It even has moments that can get pretty emotional. Alright now, so, in conclusion, Silent Hill F is great, which is actually surprising. Sure, the combat is flawed, even though it is not as bad as some people claimed. Keep in mind, it's $70. Do I recommend it? Yes, if you're already a fan of the franchise. If you're new to Silent Hill, it's better to start with Silent Hill 2 Remake. Is it as good as Silent Hill 2 Remake? No. Is it the best Silent Hill game in the franchise? Of course not. If I ever do a Silent Hill marathon, I would still proudly include Silent Hill F. This is going to be one of those games that some like it, some don't. But as time goes on, it will be loved by many. Which sounds familiar. After over a decade of Silent Hill being a desert, this is a great way to revive the franchise. Though the revival had a rough start, but now it's starting to bounce back. With a bright future of Silent Hill Remake, well, with Townfall, we'll have to see about it. To put it in a survival horror tier list, I'll put it in A tier right there.